A pilot noticed an abandoned building in the desert, but when he went inside, he couldn't believe his eyes. The pilot and his crew were flying over the desert when they saw an old building standing alone in the dunes. It looked abandoned, but unusual. The pilot decided to land. The heat was strong as they left the plane. The building had cracked walls, broken windows, and dust everywhere. It had been there for a long time. The pilot wondered why anyone would build a house in the middle of the desert, where there was no water or anything around. The pilot entered the building. Inside, the air was dry. A torn sofa, a rusted fan, and a dusty table were in the room. A faded photo showed a family of 4 standing in the desert. In another room, they found a trunk filled with old newspapers, maps, and strange red symbols. Someone had studied the area for years. The pilot saw a staircase and went up. What he saw on the second floor was unbelievable. The second floor was in bad shape. The wooden floor creaked with every step. The walls had peeling wallpaper, and underneath were strange drawings. Stick figures, odd shapes, and twisting symbols covered the space. The crew kept searching. They found a small music box. It was old and dusty, but when they opened it, it played a slow, eerie tune. A mirror hung on the wall, but it did not show normal reflections. Their faces looked stretched and distorted. A clock sat on a shelf. It was ticking, but there were no gears inside. The air felt thick and heavy. In the last room, they saw a dusty desk. On top was a leather-bound journal. It belonged to a man named Elias Whitaker. The first pages were normal, but as they read further, his words became frantic. He wrote about hearing strange noises at night. He saw figures standing in the distance, always watching. His dreams were filled with the same symbols they had seen on the maps downstairs. The last entry was the most disturbing. "They are coming. I did everything I could to prepare, but it won't be enough. If anyone finds this, understand that it was never supposed to end like this." The crew stood in silence. They did not know what had happened to Elias, but they felt uneasy. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows over the desert. It was time to leave. They gathered everything they had found and returned to the plane. As they took off, one of them looked back at the building. It stood alone in the middle of the desert. For a brief moment, it felt like something, or someone, was still there, watching them. But when they looked again, there was nothing. Just empty sand stretching in every direction. The flight back was quiet. No one spoke. The pilot finally said they would tell the truth. They had found something strange in the desert. The building became a legend. Some people believed the story, others thought it was made up. But the crew knew what they had seen. Some mysteries are never meant to be solved.